Yes, good morning, students. In this unit, we are discussing vapor refrigeration cycles, and by using vapor refrigeration cycle, we are producing refrigeration effect, or heating effect, or air conditioning. The air conditioning, some more methods we are using. Finally, we will discuss in this unit vapor refrigeration cycles and air conditioning. The syllabus is covered working principle of vapor compression refrigeration system, vapor absorption refrigeration system. This is the main. Next, the summer air conditioning system. What are the parameters influencing how we can do the year-round air conditioning system? Everything we will discuss detailedly. Move to first coming to the refrigeration. First statement, Clausius statement. What is that Clausius statement? Heat cannot be moved from low temperature to high temperature unless otherwise we are spending some work through a device. It's called pump. So your desire is the efficiency of the refrigeration always efficiency equal to output by input. That output is desire effect. Your desire effect is cooling, then it's called refrigeration. Your desire effect is heating, then it is called. Your desire effect is cooling, then it is called refrigeration. Your desire effect is heating, then it is called heat pump. That's all. The COP of refrigeration, desire effect by required input. QL by W net or QL by QH minus QL, or COP of heat pump, desired output by required input, QH by QH minus QL. The COP of heat pump, you see, COP of refrigeration plus 1. Suppose QH by QH minus QL plus 1, then QH minus QL, that QH, sorry, QL by QH minus QL plus 1 means QL divided by QL plus QH minus QL. QL cancel. Finally, you will get QH by QH minus QL. So, COP of heat pump equal to COP of refrigeration plus 1. That's why one common question in air conditioning system, based on system and competition exams we are getting. While we are opening the refrigerator door, means condenser, the heating coil also in the room only, the cooling coil also in the room only. At that condition, COP of heating is COP of cooling plus 1. So automatically it will heat the room or cool the room. I saw so many times like this question. It always heat the room because refrigeration compared to refrigeration COP, for heat pump COP is higher. So automatically at the time being it will heat the room. Okay. And here you see the commonly we are writing COP, not efficiency. But efficiency equation also same, output by input. But here writing COP. Why? Because the one simple, every person knows, but just I am recalling that one. In according to Kelvin Planck statement, we cannot construct single reservoir heat engine. Compulsory, we have to maintain source and sink. Heat will flow from source to sink. Some of the heat will convert. If I placed any engine, some of the heat will convert as a work. Remaining will last to the sink. Their energy conversion is there. That there also efficiency, output by input. Output is work output. Input is the heat input. There we are calling efficiency. Here we are calling COP. Both are same, no doubt at all. Output by input only. But wherever energy conversion is coming, 100% efficiency, maximum 100, not more than electrical immersion rods. Anywhere energy conversion is coming to the picture, one form to another form, then the efficiency is 100, not more than 100. Thermodynamics 100 also not our benchmark efficiency. Carnot efficiency only the our benchmark efficiency. But universally also 100 is the acceptable range. Coming to the refrigeration system, here we are not converting. If you are converting, then efficiency is 100 only. But we are transferring the heat by using one mediator as a pump. Just like transferring heat. For transferring heat, you may get more than 100% efficiency. How? One example, in railway stations, we all knows, very well knows, connected railway. Whenever we are going, 10 people are going with the 10 luggage bags or 20 luggage bags. We are moved to the railway station. Then railway porter, one Delhi wager, he will come You will take your entire 10 or 20 bags with one person. How it is possible? Earlier condition, 10 persons are lifted load. 20% load, a single person is can transfer to whatever that platform you require. That platform you will transfer. How you will transfer? You will take one trolley. You will put all bags in the trolley, and you will pull the trolley. That's all. Is a transferring. Up to now you lifted. Here he is transferring one place to another place. So with less energy, more load he transferred. Like that, heat also with a device as called pump. With a pump, we can transfer the heat from one place to another place. Low temperature to high temperature. For transferring of the heat with low work input, we can transfer more heat. That's why more than 100 is coming. We want to differentiate energy conversion device and energy transfer device. Wherever energy transfer devices are coming to the picture, we are measuring by COP, coefficient of performance. It is not efficiency. When efficiency is coming means energy conversion is coming, then we will call efficiency. Equations are same. For general knowledge, I explain this one. Next, every time first any vapor power cycle we discussed. There also first we retrofit with the Carnot cycle. But air standard cycle or vapor power cycle, Carnot cycle is a power generation cycle. We are producing power. The work output is our target. But here we want heat transfer is our target. But one logic is there in Carnot cycle. Whatever the Carnot cycle constitute of so many process, every process is reversible. We all knows in Carnot cycle every process is reversible process only. So every process is reversible means we can reverse the cycle itself. Then in this condition we will supply some work. Here earlier condition turbine is there. We extracted some work. Now we are supplying some work. The transfer of heat from low temperature to high temperature is possible. So now in this vapor refrigeration cycles, first we are putting the reversed Carnot cycle. Then what is the possible efficiency? If practically it is feasible, the Carnot cycle is best cycle. Why? Because we will get highest efficiencies. So the Carnot cycle constitutes of all our knows heat transfer will takes place by isothermal process. Work interactions takes place by isoentropy process. So here instead of work production we are supplying work. So 2 to 3 compression. The compression, what is that compression? The wet steam is we are compressing. At the end of the compression we are getting dry steam at a condenser pressure. Here heat, earlier condition in boiler we are supplying heat, but here it is condenser, we are rejecting the heat. Reverse the cycle. Earlier here pump we are supplying energy, here we place a turbine, we are extracting energy. Then earlier here we reject the heat in condenser, here we are absorbing the heat. Just all processes we reverse it. Then you see the 1 to 2 and 3 to 4 process. Heat absorption at isothermal process is practically possible because wet region only. And heat rejection at isothermal process 3 to 4. This is also practically possible. So two process in reversed Carnot cycle is practically possible. This is the saturation curve already we discussed in vapor power cycle same. And 4 to 1 isoentropic expansion. Two-phase expansion practically not possible, already we discussed in power cycle. Second, 2 to 3 isoentropic compression. Here also two-phase compression. At the end of compression we are getting saturation. So these two process practically not possible. If I am moving the cycle in the upper pressure ratios, then heat rejection constant temperature is practically not possible. So we are moving to upper circuit. Instead of upper circuit, the heat transfers takes place instead of isothermal process. We can substitute by constant pressure process or isobaric process. One modification for feasibility. Second modification, we are compressing vapor, high energy consumption. We are expanding liquid. 1000 times less energy. Already in power plants we calculated 600 kilojoules per kg of turbine work output we are getting. The pump input is only 15 kilojoules per kg. Negligible amount. So unnecessary component this turbine. We can replace this turbine by any expansion valve, throttle valve. Because I want to reduce the pressure, that is my target, but turbine is not required. So with these two modification we can update the vapor reversed Carnot cycle, then we will get the vapor compression refrigeration cycle. You see, then Carnot cycle efficiency, COP of refrigeration, suppose cooling effect our target TL by TH minus TL, COP of heating TH by TH minus TL. But both cases you can see, if temperature difference, this condenser and evaporator, this temperature difference we are reducing, the COP is increasing. That's why for air conditioning COP is higher than the refrigeration. Because refrigeration more temperature difference we want to maintain. Evaporator coil maintaining minus 5 degrees temperature, ambient is 40. Air conditioning, evaporator coil maintaining 16 degrees, air conditioning is required, ambient is 40. So delta T is reduced. So air conditioning COP always higher than the refrigeration COP from the equation itself. So I already mentioned Carnot cycle practically not feasible. Two modifications we made. The heat interactions by constant pressure process, and the turbine we replaced by expansion valve. What is this function of expansion valve? Just reducing the pressure. Throttle valve. Maintaining the enthalpy constant. The heat value we are not changing. Without changing the heat value, we are reducing the pressure from condenser to evaporator. What is my target? In evaporator, we are reducing pressure means automatically temperature is reducing. The specific volume, cycle refrigerant is fixed. The cycle, the mass flow rate is fixed. We are not changing the mass flow rate of the refrigerant. Then the specific volume is fixed. Volume per mass meter cube per kg. The specific volume is fixed. Then we are reducing the pressure means automatically we are reducing the temperature. Why we are reducing the pressure means to achieve low temperatures in the evaporator to absorb the heat, we are reducing the pressure. Okay. And while in low pressures, high latent heat is there. With less mass, we can absorb more heat at low temperatures. Coming to the next, we are raising the pressure to condenser pressure. What is the purpose of raising pressure? By using the turbine, not turbine, using by the compressor. Why we are raising the pressure? The first target. High temperatures are required more than ambient. Whatever the heat we absorb, if we are unable to reject the heat, we cannot recycle the utilization. We want to recycle the utilization of the same mass of refrigerant, want to reject the heat. At low temperatures, we can't reject the heat. Further absorption will take place. So, we are compressing the refrigerant. The saturated vapor from the evaporator exit. We are compressing that refrigerant to the high pressure, condenser pressure, up to condenser pressure, we are getting superheated vapor at high pressure. This pressure, up to what pressure we are raising? The condenser temperature more than the ambient, that is my target. This compression ratio are maintaining more, the refrigeration or air conditioning system will give good cooling effect in summer compared to in winter it will give in summer. But for cost reduction, we are purchasing some low brands. What they are doing, they are reducing the compression ratio, the capacity of compressor they are reducing. Then automatically they are reducing the cost. The refrigeration or air conditioning system, it will work in winter very well. But come to the summer, the condenser temperature equal to ambient temperature. So heat rejection is not taking place. So heat absorption also will not take. So more difference we are maintaining pressure difference means condenser pressure. What is the target of condenser pressure means condenser temperature must be more than 10 degrees or 5 degrees higher than the ambient, then only we will get the good heat rejection. Then that fresh charge again absorbing the heat from the evaporator and we will do the cyclic operation. So in this ideal vapor compression system, 1 to 2 adiabatic compression or isoentropic compression, saturation liquid is entering and superheated steam vapor is leaving. The working fluid, we are not giving the name of the working fluid. Next, at superheated condition, first it is rejecting the latent sensible heat, then after it is rejecting the latent heat. Sensible heat and latent heat rejection is taking place. At exit of the condenser is a saturated liquid at condenser pressure. Now I want to reduce the pressure. Why? Because for achievement of desired temperatures in evaporator, we are using expansion valve, throttle valve, capillary tube. A bunch of tubes are available in refrigerator for reduction of pressure. But target, we are not changing the enthalpy. So H3 equal to H4. Enthalpy is same. Without changing the enthalpy, we are reducing the pressure. That low pressure, low temperature, vapor, wet steam, wet vapor will enter into the evaporator and absorbs the heat and reach the saturation, and again it is entering the compressor, cyclic operation. So it is also flow process only. Steady flow energy equation you can use. So here work input, enthalpy at whatever the working fluid we are selecting, based on the working fluid we can extract the at particular pressure what is the saturation vapor. Next, second condition, at condenser pressure at superheated temperature what is the enthalpy of the working fluid. Then at condenser pressure saturation liquid what is the enthalpy. From the tables only, that working fluid tables we can extract. And next, H3 equal to H4. Then we will calculate what is the work input, H2 minus H1, heat rejection H2 minus H3, heat absorption H4 minus H1. Simple. These are the equations. Next, COP of refrigeration H1 minus H4. Desired effect H1 minus H4 by H2 minus H1. COP of heat pump, the desired effect H2 minus H3 divided by H2 minus H1. Up to now I mentioned is a working fluid. In vapor refrigeration cycles, in vapor refrigeration cycle, whatever the working fluid we are using, that working fluid we will call as a refrigerant. The first working fluid introduced in 1815, that is ethyl ether. Then after ammonia came, inorganic groups, ammonia came, carbon dioxide. Next, organic group came, ethane, methane, propane, so many came. But now also we are using ammonia in industry. Why? Because it will give high pressure differences. Second thing, with low energy input, high pressure differences. Second point, high COP also we will achieve. But we are using in industry. Why? Because ammonia is a dangerous gas. Maintenance is required. For household utilities, first they initiated in 1928 chlorofluorocarbons. First one R21, then after R12, R11 and R12 in 1931, R502 means R115 and R22 in 1970 is a blended one. So these all are, we introduced so many refrigerants for household utilities, environmental friendly refrigerants. We assumed from 1928 to 1970, we assumed the theme up to 1980 also. This chlorofluorocarbons are environmental friendly refrigerants compared to ammonia. That is the assumption. But later we came to know 5% of the ozone layer damaged by the chlorofluorocarbons. In that, chlorine is the major ozone depletion gas. That chlorine is, we are using refrigerant. After 1980s, realized finally banned the all refrigerant chlorofluorocarbons. At present, we are using R134A. Okay. So just the history I explained. But refrigerants generally, wherever we are going in industry or anywhere, they will give some number. They will write number on the compressor. This is the refrigerant. So based on number, you are capable to extract the name of the refrigerant. Once you know the name of the refrigerant, you can extract the property tables of the refrigerant. Then you can calculate the performance of the refrigeration system. Simply. So inorganic gases. The inorganic gases are were represented by 7. The inorganic refrigerants were represented by 7. The inorganic refrigerants are 7, 17 ammonia. Remaining 2 digits are molecular weight of the gas. So R7 means it is an inorganic gas, it is a fixed. R7, it is an inorganic gas, it is fixed. Next 2 digits is the molecular weight of the gas. Now you can extract any number, you can extract the name. Suppose R17, 717, 7 is inorganic, 17 is ammonia. R764, 7 is inorganic, 64 is SO2. 64, SO2 molecular weight. 44, carbon dioxide molecular weight. 18, H2O molecular weight. Air, 29 air molecular weight, 29. So, 7C is started. Inorganic means there is no carbon hydrogen bonding. Inorganic means there is no carbon hydrogen bonding. Without that, whatever the gases are there is a refrigerant gases, whatever the gases we are using. Next 2 digits are molecular weight. Come to the organic group. In organic group, 2 types of the refrigerants are there, methane group and ethane group. Combination of also they are using R707, R505, like something combination of methane and ethane. Suppose we will discuss only methane and ethane group. Methane group means CH4, 1 carbon requires 4 hydrogens. Ethane group, 2 carbons requires 6 hydrogens. Suppose the number, now we are using R134 something, everywhere we are using R134A something. So what are the components we want to extract? The last digit represents number of fluorines. Last digit always represents number of fluorines. And next digit represents hydrogen plus 1. So hydrogen plus 1 equal to 3 means number of hydrogens 2. 4 fluorines, 2 hydrogens. 6 is completed and 1 represents C minus 1. If there is third digit is not there means it is a 0. R12 means R012. R22 means R022. R21 means R021. Last digit represents carbon minus 1 equal to 1. Then carbon equal to 2. Here nothing is there means 1. So 2 carbons, 2 hydrogens, 4 fluorines. There is no chance of chlorine. So that's why this is a environmental free refrigerant. Suppose R22, you select R22. 2 fluorines, 1 hydrogen. 1 fluorine is required to fulfill the 4 hydrogens. So this is chlorofluorocarbons. If any chlorine is there, it is damaging the environment. So I think we are capable to now extract the properties with the number. We can extract the name of the refrigerant. Maybe organic group, maybe inorganic. And we will solve one problem on simple refrigeration cycle. A refrigerator uses refrigerant 134A as the working fluid and operates on an ideal vapor compression refrigeration cycle between 0.14 and 0.8 megapascal. This is the operation pressure. Evaporation pressure is 0.14 and condenser pressure is 0.8 megapascal. If the mass flow rate of the refrigerant 0.05 kg per second, directly they given mass flow rate, not volumetric flow rate, 0.05 kg per second, determine the rate of heat removal from the refrigerator space. How much heat removed? Means H1 minus H4. This is the heat removal. Next. And the power input to the compressor. What is the power input to the compressor? Work input. H2 minus H1. The rate of heat rejected to the environment in the condenser H2 minus H3. The heat rejection H2 minus H3. Next, the COP of the refrigerator. Next, third question, COP of the refrigerator. Next, what are the assumptions they given? Assume after compression refrigerant temperature reaches to 40 degrees. Simply. This is not saturation temperature. From the property tables of R134A, if you extract the saturation temperature, it may come 32 degrees. But this superheated reaching 40 degrees, you see. So open the property tables of particular R134A refrigerant. At 0.14 operating range. This is 0.14. So at 0.14 determine the extract the property of enthalpy, saturated vapor enthalpy, and 0.8 saturation vapor liquid enthalpy H3 value. Next, superheated table at 0.8 40 degrees temperature, then what is the enthalpy? That's all. 3 enthalpies you extract. These are the 3 enthalpies. That at 0.14 239.16 kilojoules per kg, 0.8 megapascal 273.66 kilojoules per kg, and H3 at 0.8 saturation liquid 93.42, isoenthalpy process H4 equal to 93.4. Simply rate of heat removal mass flow rate into H1 minus H4, this is 7.28. Rate of power input to the compressor, it is 1.725. This one and this one we are rejecting at the condenser. So heat rejection of condenser H2 minus H3 into mass flow rate will get 9.012 kilojoules per kg. Then COP of refrigeration, desired effect 7.28 divided by the required input 1.725, the COP is 4.22. Same method you can do second problem also, not required. Next, come to the actual vapor compression cycle. One thing we are assuming, the assumption compression is isoentropic, but you can touch the compressor, it will reject the heat. In isoentropic process, there is no heat loss, but heat rejection is taking place. That's why we have to consider that heat loss means deviation of isoentropic efficiency. Okay, then this is one actual condition, means more heat will, more work supply is required. Due to more work supply, that total work supply we are rejecting at condenser only. The condenser capacity is increasing in actual case. Second thing, in evaporator coil it is absorbing the heat. Evaporator coil and condenser, the compressor not side by side. Suppose window air conditioning system, split air conditioning system we are assuming. Compressor is top side, evaporator is down side. It has to travel some journey. In that journey also it is absorbing heat. Theoretically, saturation liquid is coming from the evaporator coil, but while it is reaching to the compressor, some sensible heat is coming to the picture. Then superheated, low pressure superheated vapor is entering into the compressor. Further compression addition, more work input. Further superheating of the gas will take place up to condenser. So the size of condenser is increasing drastically. Theoretically, compute actual means more heat loss will occur. And in condenser also we are assuming saturation liquid. Then saturation liquid is traveling in some distance, it will absorb the heat. Because the evaporator coil and condenser also not side by side. Instead of for elimination that one, we are cooling up to subcooled region, not saturation liquid. Subcooled region we are sending. The subcooled region liquid is expanding in the throttle valve and reaching to the low pressure wet region, and that wet vapor is entering into the evaporator. So finally, here more heat is added in the journey heat and more work input. Why? Because isoentropic process practically not possible. These two, and we are subcooling the condenser outlet, not up to saturation liquid. So these are the heats where in actual case is adding compared to theoretical one. This is the actual case. Evaporator coil, compressor. This much of journey it has to. Come to the next one, vapor absorption refrigeration system. Vapor absorption or compression might target to raise the pressure of vapor, heat absorbed vapor to the condenser pressure. By using mechanical energy, then it is called vapor compression system. By using heat energy, then it is called vapor absorption system or adsorption system. Both are there. Practically variable system vapor absorption. So we are discussing vapor absorption system. So heat is input to raise the pressure of pressure of refrigerant from evaporator to condenser, then it is called vapor absorption system. Mechanical energy we are using, then it is called vapor compression refrigeration system. You see, this our condenser is there, condenser outlet we are expanding, throttling, then low pressure moisture is wet vapor is entering into the evaporator, absorbing the heat, and it is moved to the dry vapor. Up to this both are same. Then this dry vapor is absorbed by the absorbent. So for this purpose, in this absorption refrigeration, we are using pair of refrigerant. Means one is act as absorbent, another one is act as a refrigerant. Universally accepted pair of refrigerants, one is ammonia water and second one is lithium bromide and water. In ammonia water, ammonia is refrigerant. So ammonia refrigerant means we know we can move minus temperatures, minus 15, minus 10, means refrigeration effect we can produce. But lithium bromide water, water is the refrigerant. So water is refrigerant, we can't move less than 0 degrees. The minimum temperature 6, 7 we are achieving, that means we can do air conditioning. So lithium bromide water combination absorption system we are using for air conditioning. Ammonia water refrigeration system we are using for refrigeration facility. So the refrigerant, whatever the ammonia is rotating, and it is come to the absorber. The absorber contains ammonia water lean mixture. Once ammonia is vapor enters into this absorber, then rich mixture of ammonia water is prepared and some heat is lost to the ambient. This is a cooling facility we are doing. So this absorber and condenser maintain same temperature. The absorber and condenser we are maintaining same temperature. So heat rejection in absorber also will take place, in condenser also will take place. So then after this slurry, water ammonia slurry, by using small pump we are raising the pressure from evaporator to condenser. Earlier condition we used compressor. The specific volume 1000 times difference, not for all working fluids. Some work fluid, maybe some work fluid 800 times. So less energy for liquid pumping is required compared to vapor pumping. We can neglect the liquid pumping work input. So here instead of vapor pumping, what we did, that refrigerant absorbing in absorber, then ammonia water slurry is prepared. That slurry is pumping by using small pump to the generator. Okay, compressor is replaced by generator by the absorption. Once in generator, now we are separating hydrogen and water and ammonia. Ammonia have low evaporation temperatures, automatically by absorbing by using the waste industrial heat or by using solar energy. We are supplying heat, then here ammonia is evaporated. Water is returned to the back. That lean mixture again it is returning back to the absorber. Cyclic operation. Okay. This one we can assume as a heat engine. This is ambient temperature, this is the generator temperature. Okay. This ammonia vapors rectifier we are using, there is a filter. Any water vapor is there, means it will filter that water is again come to generator. The same slurry is rotating. That pure ammonia is entering into the condenser, rejecting heat. Then after moving to the saturation liquid, that liquid is expanding in the expansion valve. Then further it is entering into the evaporator, absorbing heat. That vapor again it will come to the absorber. Mixture is rich mixture is prepared. That rich mixture is circulating by pump. Again lean mixture is preparing by, because ammonia is evaporating. The lean mixture again entering into the absorber. This is one cycle. This is one cycle. This is one cycle. And this is one cycle. Clockwise direction cycle is called heat engine we are assuming. Anti-clockwise direction, this anti-clockwise direction is moving this engine. The clockwise direction, anti-clockwise direction we are assuming. Then COP of refrigeration, desired effect by heat input and work input, both we are doing, but work input is negligible one because pump work input. So heat generator input only we are considering. QL by Q generation, or I already mentioned this one. Q generation cycle we can consider as a heat engine, 1 minus absorber temperature by generator temperature. Second, refrigeration effect TL by This is condenser temperature minus absorber temperature. Condenser temperature minus evaporator temperature. So COP of the absorption refrigeration, and it is used for only refrigeration, not for heating. Heat pump. Why? Because we want to work as a vapor absorption system as a heat pump. What is the necessity of running of the entire engine? Already waste heat only we are running the engine, we are running the pump. So the same waste heat you can utilize for the direct for industrial application. So absorption system where application is only for cooling, not for heating. But vapor compression system, cooling and heating both. Okay, this is the final equation. Now we will conclude. Now move to the air conditioning system. For the air conditioning system, first I want to study air. I want to condition means what is the air, how we can calculate the air property. That is main important. Air we are assuming up to now air standard cycle we are assuming is a perfect gas, but air is not perfect gas. Air contains perfect gas. Ambient air contains perfect gas, means dry air, plus water vapor. That is a pure substance. It's a combination of perfect gas and pure substance. We can't use perfect gas laws. We can't use the pure substance laws. So separate law is required. That's called psychometry. It is a combination of perfect gas and pure substance. Combination of psychometry we are using to study the air properties. First I want to study the air property. That is my main motto. After study the air properties, then we can do whatever the things we want to do. Dry bulb temperature. So psychometry, some language is there. Dry bulb temperature means measuring thermometer. Whatever the measuring thermometer is there. This is the thermometer. This bulb exposed area for sensible area where the measurement of temperature is taken. That is in dry condition, means it is a normal in ambient condition, then it is called dry bulb temperature. Suppose this bulb is covered with wet cloth or wick, we are poured water, then that cloth will absorb the water, entire water. Then whatever the air is flowing, that air absorbs moisture and reaches the saturation condition. At that condition, whatever the temperature we are measuring, that temperature is called wet bulb temperature. So in HVAC, heating, ventilation and air conditioning, in HVAC system, for measurement of any property, just we are measuring dry bulb and wet bulb. By using these two, by using psychometric chart, I can measure any property. And wet bulb depression is there. The difference between dry bulb temperature and wet bulb temperature is called wet bulb depression. Wet bulb depression is high. Suppose the cooling tower capacity we can reduce. By same power plant we are placing in Rayalaseema or we are placing in coastal. In coastal region, cooling tower capacity is increasing. In Rayalaseema, cooling tower capacity is reducing. Because dry bulb and wet bulb temperature differences are high in Rayalaseema region. And then specific humidity or humidity ratio. It is the ratio of amount of moisture present to the total amount of air, means the amount of dry air. Mass of vapor moisture, water vapor present per mass of dry air. Okay, 1 kg mass of dry air, how much water vapor is present? Any type of expression. Moisture content, specific humidity or humidity ratio, any nomenclature we are using. Dew point, it is very important. When we place any water bottles, anything in a refrigerator, after some time we can see the water droplets on the bottle. Means water is leaking from the bottle. No, water not leaking from the bottle, but droplets are available in top layer of the water bottle. How it is happen? Because while we are cooling the water, the ambient air also cooling. While the ambient air we are cooling at one particular temperature, it is unable to hold that moisture, the pure substance. The perfect gas is unable to hold the pure substance at one particular temperature while we are cooling. That temperature is called dew point temperature. or the first droplet of the water condensation will initiate, the temperature is called dew point. That is very much important for air conditioning system. Next, degree of saturation is the ratio only. Relative humidity. The mass of vapor per volume of the air. It is the ratio between mass of vapor per volume of the air to mass of vapor for the volume of the air at a fully saturation condition. That's called relative humidity. Enthalpy, we know, flowing fluid having the internal energy, and once it want to enter into the system or leave from the system, it has to do some flow work. Then internal energy plus flow work is called enthalpy. This is a psychometric chart. You see the DST chart. X-axis contains dry bulb temperature. Y-axis contains the moisture content, specific humidity ratio, means mass of water vapor per kg of dry air. Mass of water vapor per kg of dry air. Okay. This line is called saturation line. So this is called relative humidity 100% line. Next curve, relative humidity 95, 90, like this. These all are called relative humidity curves. This inclined line, whatever the inclined line is there, this is called wet bulb lines. This inclined line is called wet bulb lines. Extension of the inclined lines, it is this intersection point, we will get the enthalpy. Extension of the wet bulb lines where it is intersecting these lines is we will get the enthalpy. One more vertical lines, in some inclined lines, minimum deviate to vertical inclined lines will represent the specific volume. So specific volume, the units are meter cube per kg. Means volumetric flow rate they will give divided by specific volume, you will get the mass flow rate of the air. So from the psychrometric chart we can extract everything. Now I know how to study the extract the properties of the air. Then I want to do the air conditioning to the system. Generally, human beings and sleeping condition, the respiration load is 87 87 watt, means 87 joules per second. That much of the continuation joules of energy is losing. While in general working, 115 joules per second. That much of energy is losing. While he is playing, 230 joules per second of energy. While he is doing hard work, 440 joules per second. Okay, this much of respiration load is there. So continuously we want to remove that respiration load. Maybe ladies means maybe 15 to 20% less than the men. That's common. That is called mass index. Ladies mass is less compared to gents. So automatically. So common values, this is not exact values. At 37 degrees temperature we are rejecting heat. So absorption of the heat. This controlling the temperature is important. The first target of air conditioning, control the temperature. In winter you want to heat the room. In summer you want to cool the room. But respiration loads not changing. And second thing, while we are alive, continuous sweating will take place upon the skin. So moisture content. Remove the moisture content. Means you want to maintain optimum water vapor in the air. You are maintaining 90% water vapor in the air. Even though the cold air is coming, it will not absorb the moisture. Then you will not give the comfort condition to the human being. So absorption of the moisture is also important point. Second. Third, if absorption is there, the air movement is not taking place. Then the fresh air is not coming. The whatever the available air, it will absorb the moisture, absorb the heat, and it will stay stagnation. There is no use. So velocity of the air is required. The velocity of the air is depend upon the working place. Different places I mentioned. Based on the different places, the working velocity of the air is changing. Suppose for general workplaces, whatever the blower speed we are getting, that is more than sufficient. We don't want to arrange fans also in the rooms. But high heavy working places like workshops, 1 HP, 2 HP, 5 HP fans also they are running. Yes, dissipation is required. More heat is generating. You have to dissipate the heat. So these three are major parameters for human being comfort. So for that air conditioning system, we are doing 6 methods we are using for year round air conditioning system. One is sensible cooling, second one is sensible heating, next one cooling and humidification, next heating and humidification, next cooling and dehumidification, next heating and dehumidification. I will explain simply. Sensible cooling, just I am cooling the air. Just I am cooling. Just whatever the refrigeration, vapor compression refrigeration system or vapor absorption refrigeration system or vapor adsorption refrigeration system. You can use any type of refrigeration system. You can cool the air. It's called sensible cooling. Next, sensible heating. Use vapor compression refrigeration system. Condenser you place, sensible heating will come. Otherwise, electrical immersion rods are there, direct electrical energy to heat energy. Or industrial waste heat is there, directly you can heat. It's called sensible heating. Next, cooling and humidification process. Here I want to cool the air and humidify the air. In this condition, what we are doing? Cold water you spray upon the air conditioned air. Cold water you are spraying means it is cooling and it is doing humidification also. Evaporator cooling indirectly. In summer, the dry areas like Rayalaseema, Telangana, Karnataka, Bengaluru especially, not entire Karnataka. In these regions, simply we are doing this one only. Next, heating and humidification. Here, hot water you can spray upon the flowing air. Then you will get the heating and humidification. Simplest to simple method. Heating and humidification. Initially, this much of moisture air is there. Finally, we are reaching this much of moisture. Next one, cooling and dehumidification. In this cooling and dehumidification, we are cooling the air. How we can dehumidify? Cooling up to dew point temperature, less than dew point temperature. This is the dew point temperature, this one. Less than dew point temperature, you cool the air, automatically dehumidification will take place. Once this is the first droplet of the water will start from here, then further reduction automatically will reduce the moisture reduction. So simple cooling and dehumidification. But then after we want to do heating also. Sensible heating is required. Otherwise, that dew point temperature water, less than dew point temperature air is not comfortable for human being. Again, some sensible heating we are doing. After sensible heating, we are sending to the air conditioning. Next, heating and dehumidification. In the heating and dehumidification, what we are doing, just chemical process, the frictional method, silica gel or aluminium we are taking. It is absorbing the moisture from the air. While this absorption, due to friction, it is doing heating and dehumidification. But temperature rise maybe 1 degree, 2 degree. You want more temperature rise, sensible heating also required. After dehumidification, you want to do sensible heating. Okay. These are the methods. So move to summer air conditioning and winter air conditioning. In summer, you see high humidified air, high humid air, high temperature air is available. Normal condition. In summer, ambient air humidity is high. And second thing, temperature also high. So whatever the air is coming from the air conditioned room, total air we are not recirculating. If you are recirculating total air means the CO2 levels inside the chamber will increase. Automatically the person will face headache, then after some other health issues also coming. So in real condition, while we are designing the system, some replacement of the fresh charge every time we are assuming. So some charge will release to ambient and some fresh charge we are adding to the recycling air. Total charge will enter into the cooling system. So this is the outlet of the psychometric chart. You see the mark to the point. This is the outlet of the air conditioned room. From the outlet of the air conditioning room, we added some fresh charge. Due to addition of fresh charge, further moisture content from here to here, moisture content is increased and temperature also increased by the addition of the fresh charge. But we want to add the fresh charge, otherwise comfortable air conditioning will not produce. This total mass is entering into the cooling coil. Cooling and dehumidification is taking place. Okay. Cooling and dehumidification is taking place. Up to what temperature it is taking place? Up to reaching the desirable moistures. Here we are reaching desirable moisture. Suppose 0.012 is the desirable moisture per kg of dry air. Means up to this point we are doing cooling and dehumidification. Then after that air, cooled and dehumidified air is entering into the reheat coil. Then it is entering into the reheat coil. Then heating is taking place. That heated, cooling and dehumidified sensible heated air entering into the room. The exit of room, again it is absorbing heat and moisture. That absorbed heat and moisture means heating and humidification air is entering into again mixing with the fresh charge. Again it is entering into the cooling and dehumidification. Then after reheating, then it is cyclic operation is taking place. Okay. In summer air conditioning system is cooling and dehumidification and sensible heating is doing. So what is sensible heat? What is the latent heat? Moisture content HFG, how much moisture is removed, and total heat. Suppose it is room heat, sensible heat factor, sensible heat by total heat. How much room sensible heat factor is there? We are calculating. Coming to the winter air conditioning, you see, in winter air conditioning, what happened? Dry air is available and low temperature dry air is available. In the room, we are rejecting the heat. We are not absorbing the heat. Room temperatures are low. After rejecting heat, temperatures are reducing and moisture also reducing. Then I already mentioned, every time some fresh charge, with the fresh charge only we are adding with the fresh charge, the recycling of the air will take place, air conditioning air. It first enter into the reheater. So recycled air, it from this point is discharged, but recycled air we are added. This is the point. First we are using preheating. So preheating the air, okay, for desired temperature. Then after humidification we are doing. Then after we are adding the moisture. So heating and humidification. But both we are doing separate. Based on the mass flow rate of the air, it is changing. Directly also we can do, but low mass flow rate of the air. With high mass flow rate of air, time is not sufficient. So separately we want to do heating and humidification. Then after humidification, the water temperature is lower than air temperature. Automatically temperature of the air is reducing. Further reheating we are doing. Then once air is entering into the room, it is rejecting some moisture and reducing the temperature, and it is again entering into the main chamber, that reduced temperature rejected moisture, again onto the reheater, then humidifier and heating, preheating, humidification and reheating, cyclic operation. This is the winter air conditioning system. In winter air conditioning is heating and humidification is required. So we will solve one problem, then we will get a clear idea about the topic. Air at 1 atmosphere, air always at 1 atmosphere only. So psychrometric chart is valid 1 atmosphere. Initial conditions are 15 degrees centigrade and 60% relative humidity. Heated to 20 degrees. So first is sensible heat, and then humidification introduced into the water vapor. The air leaves the humidification chamber is 25 degrees and 65. So sensible heating, then after heating and humidification is taking place. Why? Because 20 to 25. Then what we want to determine? A, the amount of steam added to the air. B, the amount of heat transferred to the air. Heat transferred to the air in sensible heating only. In heating section, not heating and humidification. And first one, amount of steam added. Simply mark the points, that's all. First initial condition, 15 degrees, 60% relative humidity. Mark the point and determine the moisture content, determine the enthalpy. Next, sensible heated to 20 degrees. Again, moisture content is same, but enthalpy is increased. So, what is the heat added means? H1 minus H2. Next, second point. And move to 20 degrees to heating and humidification it did. 25 degrees to 65% relative humidity. Mark the point, 25 degrees centigrade and 65% relative humidity. And extract the moisture content. Then simply calculate the properties. At H1 at 20 degrees moisture content, 25 degrees moisture content, And how much moisture is added means that 25 minus 20, this is the moisture content, 0.07 kgs of water vapor per kg of dry air. Enthalpy initially is 32 kilojoules, then sensible heat to 20 degrees, the enthalpy is 38 kilojoules. Then amount of the heat added at heating section, only 38 minus 22 is a 6 kilojoules per kg of dry air. Okay. Next, this problem is simple. One more problem. This is the one problem. An air conditioning system is designed under the following conditions. The air conditioning system is designed under the following conditions. Outdoor condition 30 degrees centigrade and 75% relative humidity. The outdoor condition is 30 degrees and 75% relative humidity. Room indoor condition 22 degrees and 70 relative humidity. So initial condition is the final condition. Okay. So mark the points in the system. Amount of the free air circulation is, here air circulation also given 3.3 meter cube per second. They given volumetric flow rate. Convert into mass flow rate. How you can convert volumetric flow rate by specific volume? You will get the mass flow rate. This is the kg per second. Next, so here we want to extract the specific volume also. So next, coil dew point temperature is 14 degrees. The coil dew point temperature. So we are cooling the air from 30 degrees temperature, 75 degrees relative humidity to 14 degrees temperature first. Then 14 is not suitable. So we want to do the sensible heating also. But desired temperature is 22 degrees. Okay, you see. The required conditions are achieved first by cooling and dehumidification is completed, and by the heating. So sensible heating also required. By the given data itself we can mention without reading the problem itself. Estimate the capacity of cooling coil in tons. We want to estimate the capacity of cooling coils in tons. 1 ton of refrigeration equal to 3.5 kilowatt. Generally 1.5 ton for household utilities split AC we are using, or 1 ton for window AC we are using. So 1 ton equal to 3.5 kilowatt. So this cooling capacity we want to write in tons. Once value is determined, divided by 3.5, you will get the ton of refrigerant. Next, the capacity of heating coil. One more question they asked. The capacity of the heating coil in kilowatts. Next, the amount of water vapor required. So moisture addition not removed in summer air conditioning system. So moisture, how much moisture is removed, that is important. And the capacity of the heating coil is required because we are doing sensible heating, and the capacity of cooling coil is required. Cooling and dehumidification is we are doing summer air conditioning system. You see, the first point you mark the psychometric chart. 30 degrees centigrade, 75% relative humidity is the point. Enthalpy. Determine the enthalpy and moisture content. Wet bulb temperature you can extend, you will get the enthalpy and you will get the moisture content. Next, it is cool to 14 degrees in the direction. Okay, you mark that point also. Next, the final point is 22 degrees 70% relative humidity. It is called sensible heating. In the problem they given it is sensible heating. So sensible heating means horizontally we want to move. Whatever the graph linear line we draw, this horizontal line where it is intersecting, up to that point only we are dehumidifying, not up to reaching 14 degrees. Up to intermediate point only we are reaching. So the cooling load means not up to 14 degrees. That intersection point, extract the enthalpy value and extract the entropy value, that specific humidity or moisture content, mass of water vapor per kg of dry air, and extract the enthalpy of air at 22 degrees centigrade, 70% relativity. Only this H2 value, cooling load value, not 14 degrees. This sensible heating point wherever is there 22 degrees, you extend on the curve where the intersection is taking place. That point only, up to that point only we are doing the cooling. So cooling load means H1 minus H2, M into H1 minus H2. Divide by 3.5, we will get then tons. Heating load, H3 minus H2 into mass flow rate, we will get the heating load. How much moisture is removed? 30 degrees, 75% relative humidity, what is the moisture? And 22 degrees centigrade and 70% relative humidity, what is the moisture? The difference of the moisture only the rate of into mass flow rate, you will get the mass rate of reduction of the moisture. Air flow rate, first meter cube per second they given. The specific volume is at particular condition 0.89 meter cube per kg. Then determine the mass flow rate of the air. Air flow rate by specific volume 0.89, we will get 3.70 kg per second. Initial enthalpy 84 kilojoules at 30 degrees centigrade, 25% relativity. And second enthalpy, we are moving up to 14 degrees direction, but where the intersection is taking place, that point we extracted the enthalpy is 45 kilojoules per kg. And at the sensible heat, end of the sensible heating, 22 degrees, 70% relativity, we extracted the enthalpy 52 kilojoules per kg. Then 1 ton of refrigeration, I already mentioned, 3.5 kilowatt of refrigeration capacity. Then the capacity of the cooling coil, mass flow rate into enthalpy difference. Enthalpy of entry and enthalpy exit of cooling coil. Mass flow rate 3.7. Then we got 144.3 kilojoules per second or kilowatt. 1 ton equal to 3.5 kilowatt. So divide by 3.5, you will get 41.2 tons of the cooling coil is required for the air conditioning of 3.7 mass flow rate of the air. Next, heating coil capacity, mass into that sensible heating exit enthalpy and inlet enthalpy. We require 25.9 kilowatt heating coil. There's moisture at initial condition, moisture final condition, rate of moisture removed, mass flow rate into mass at initial condition, mass at final condition, then 3.7 into something, we will get 0.037 mass of that vapor per kg of dry air per second we are removing. Okay, with this we are ending this vapor refrigeration cycles and air conditioning. Okay, thank you very much.